and welcome back to Fuzzy Gaming and a new video on the channel going over my update for the Phrecia event. Apologies, it was meant to be yesterday, but I had some mic issues and had to order another one. So hopefully it sounds a little bit better because the other one was definitely starting to get to the end of its life. So I'm going to split this video up into two sections. Firstly, I'm going to talk about how I went about making currency to fund my build in this event, because it works very differently with the idle system. It's a bit more difficult to just get up and running really early and make some currency. And then what we'll do is go on to the character. Now, I have progressed it quite a lot because I farmed a fair bit of currency in this event. So I'll try and talk through the steps for the character and my decision in around why I wanted to build it this way. And we'll start with making currency. I did struggle very, very early on in terms of knowing what to do to make money, because you get lots of idols that mostly will just add lots of mechanics to your map. But it's very hard unless you're using trade, and early on you don't have the currency to get a full set of idols together to give you everything that you need. So at the beginning, it would be I had Expedition, I had Delirium, I had Harvest, I had nearly every mechanic in my map. So I didn't really have anything to juice it up. So it wasn't really worth interacting with the mechanics because you got very little out of it. So I kind of struggled my way through Atlas completion with very little currency. The build did okay. It wasn't quite as good as I wanted it to be, but it did handle all of the map completion fairly comfortably and did the first 2 void stones. And at that point, I decided I really needed to try and make some currency. My character in terms of strength was probably just good enough to do like bosses and Alcan Go T16s, but it was never going to be good enough to farm things like Guardian maps, Conqueror maps, Juice maps and things like that. So I needed to try and settle on some sort of idle system so that I can make money in easy maps. And what I actually settled on was farming Exile altars, and it's worked incredibly well. I've probably made about 5 divines an hour just farming the altars, nothing else. So if you have a look here, I haven't checked this for a little while, but when I was selling these earlier, they were about 2.5 chaos each, and they have been for kind of the last couple of days. So have a look here. They're still 2.5 pretty much. There's someone who's put a few on at 2, but you're going to get 2.5 of these if you wait a little while. And they're plentiful in maps with the idle setup that I'm going to go through. You'll also get things like Chaos Orbs, Regrets sell pretty well, Glassflow's Baubles sell, Gem Cutter's Prisms. Pretty much everything that drops from these altars you're going to be able to sell. And the altar setup at the time, I don't know what the costs are now. I bought these over a day ago. I didn't pay more than 5C for any of the idols. And really you only need 3 different types of idols. Essentially 2 if you wanted to really, really skimp on your setup, but you might struggle with map sustain. So you basically need 2 of these, and they are chance to spawn a Syrian Exarch altar when their influence first appears. Now they go to 40 to 60%. You need to make sure that both of them combined hit 100. So I've got one for 60 and then I have one for 47. So it's 107%. What this means is every single Exarch map, as soon as that influence spawns, you will get an altar. If you combine that with Wrath of the Cosmos, it makes the maps more difficult, but it also means you've got a 50-50 chance of that first altar having double rewards. And it's been fairly common that I've got Lesser Embers and Chaos, or Lesser Embers and Gem Cutter Prisms, and you end up getting an absolute ton of currency from the map. To make sure you're getting as much currency as possible, you also want as many small idols as you really want to fit in with monsters influenced by Syrian Exarch in your maps have increased pack size. This just means that more monsters spawn every time you get that little explosion, and obviously that means you're going to drop more currency. They're pretty much all of the idols that I'm using. I'm using Secular Focus because I hate Ritual, and with the idols I've got, I pretty much always get Ritual, so I block that. You know, you can block whatever mechanics you want with this with the unique idols, but they do take up a slot. And then I've got a few where I'm just using chance for maps to drop a tier higher. So this one, for example, is 8.5% chance for maps to be a tier higher. Once I've got 4 void stones, because I've only got 3 at the minute, I may drop these. But if you could stack these and get maybe another 50% chance, it means you're much more likely to sustain. And map sustain has been a bit of an issue. But it is a very simple idle setup. All I did was search on trade for Syrian Exarch altars with 5% or higher. And then I've just gone and messaged everyone in that list. I've obviously ignored the first few because if they're too cheap, they're probably not there. And I paid 5C for each of these idols. These were 5C as well. I don't think they cost anything at the time, and they probably don't now. And then the only other thing, if I can find something with essences on there as well, then I've picked those up, because even though most of the essences are trash, you'll come across the odd shrieking essence that might be worth 3 or 4 chaos. Only takes 5 seconds to go and kill that essence monster, and then it's going to get a bit more income from your maps. And it has been really, really lucrative. And that's kind of it for making money. I'm still doing it at the moment because I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And it is quite a chore to build your idol system out because you have to look at all of the idols that you need. You then have to go and buy them all. Realistically, you then have to farm that mechanic for quite a while because it takes time to set all of your idols up so that you're actually making currency. But all I did was just had a look on the currency exchange to see what went for decent money. And I was either settling on the embers or going oil farming and getting some of the idols that make the oils that you get in your maps a tier higher, and you get more chance to get blight maps. That also looks really profitable. So we're just going to do a very quick map showcase. Apologies, this mic is super sensitive. I haven't got it set up properly yet. You're probably going to hear a ton of clicking when we go through this map, but I'll do my best to have quiet fingers. So all I'm doing, you don't necessarily have to ALK, but I think it's better for map sustain. So all I'm doing is avoiding things like double fizzes extra, because the altars you pick up, you might get fizzes extra as well. You don't really want to end up with 500% fizzes extra. So we'll just go through and we'll just roll it to a map. Like, this is fine. So we'll go and run this map. I'm doing Jungle Valley because it guarantees you to get the minion altars, so it means you've got an even better chance of that first altar being some decent currency. So I'm ignoring the mirror. They appear in every map, but I have no interest in it. Sorry, this is my first game for a while, so it's going to be a bit laggy. So here we've got Chaos Orbs. I have no idea what's going on with this performance, but... then we've got Grand Embers, which I'm going to keep hold of. I used all mine trying to roll something on an item. Didn't roll. Because they're not worth a ton at the moment, but later on they'll probably pick up in value once people need to start pushing their implicits up using Orbs of Conflict. And it's just a case of running through the map, killing monsters, picking up loot, checking any altars that turn up to see if they might be worthwhile taking. And as I say, even with not aiming for anything, you will end up with tons of mechanics in your maps. Just because a lot of idols come with like 50% chance. If you pick up 2 of them, you're going to get your guaranteed chance. I'll just go back here, make sure I didn't miss anything. I did, miss loads. And as you can see, like, when monsters spawn, the packs can be absolutely huge, which is great. Gives you XP. It's fairly risk-free. And then you're going to get a ton of currency once you actually proc some decent altars. So I'll go through. You don't have to do the boss. Unless you're really desperate for maps. So I'll go through and just make sure we've picked up all of these influence packs. 50 monsters left apparently. I have no idea where they are. So we'll just go through and make sure we haven't missed an altar or a spawn. Just because it's probably like, if they drop a couple of currencies, it's going to be 4 or 5C. So we'll just go back, because normally it's at the beginning where they haven't been. Yep, we didn't get anything, but hey ho, 1 Chaos Orb, probably not worth it. That'll do. We'll get out this map. And then we'll run through the character. So just quickly on that map, we've got 12C and then 7 Embers, and it took 2.5 minutes. So you can prep some maps if you've got enough, and then you just run map after map after map. And then just take all your currency, go over to your currency exchange, sell it for Chaos Orbs, and then exchange for Divines. And that's what I've been doing. And I've probably now started putting money into this build, about 10 to 12 Divines on it. I had to kind of brute force it to get it to work because it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And I've got ample left over, and I've kind of got everything that I need. I've even bought a few things like Forbidden Flesh and Flame Jewels for future investments, potentially in the next few days, maybe to go up in price, just because I had some currency sitting around. So let's go through the character. So in terms of Ascendancy, we're going Paladin, mainly for the elemental relics. They give you a level 20 Hatred, Wrath, and Anger aura. So the node preceding that is Light of Divinity, which is nearby enemies take 25% increased damage. This is really nice because it's almost, well, I think it is a more multiplier, because I don't think there's other sources of enemies take increased damage. So because it's 25% onto 100, it acts more as a more multiplier rather than a 25% increase that's getting added onto 500 that you've already got on your character. I'll come on to some nuances about elemental valiance that I think a lot of people haven't factored into their build that I think played a big part. I've gone for level 30 determination because being right side of the tree, it's much harder for me to get armor than get evasion. So getting my determination up higher just means my perseverance belt that I'm running gets a better effect because my determination and therefore my armor will be higher. And then we're running magic utility flask supply to have 40% increase effect. Again, because I'm going to be running an evasion and an armor flask, that again boosts my damage up. It will boost my crit up and boost my movement speed. It's just a really, really nice node. So let's talk about the relics, because they do only have a 4-second duration and you've got a 25% chance on kill or on hit to actually trigger one of these relics. And 4 seconds is not a very long time. If you're not in a juice mapping environment or a boss fight, it's very hard to maintain these with a 4-second timer. So I've only just dropped some increased duration nodes that I think helped keep those auras up. So I basically pathed up here instead of having this cluster jewel. And I pathed to all the increased skill effect duration and then the more skill effect duration. And this pushed the relics from 4 seconds up to about 7.5. And then I noticed they were pretty much up all of the time. Even if I'm not juicing my maps, I'm just running a normal, Alch and Go or a magic map for early completion. Now I've got a much, much quicker character and I'm getting more packs into my maps. Now I feel like I don't need those nodes and they're better used on a cluster jewel. But if you do run a Paladin, just make sure on the top of your screen you'll see the 3 symbols. Maybe record a gameplay view in a map and just see how often those are up. Does it matter that much? Not when your character's good, but when your character relies on those relics, not having them up is having a massive detriment to your DPS. So if you are running a Paladin and you feel like you're struggling for damage, check how long those relics are up for. It might be worth spending the points to go get some increased duration, or at least maybe anointing some increased duration on your amulet to at least get it up to maybe 5.5 seconds. So I'll put 2 POVs in the video description. The first was my kind of budget setup where I farmed all my currency with, completed my atlas, and then I'll put my current POV where I'm working towards improving the character. It's not a great character for the money spent. It's probably, with all your flasks up, maybe 5 to 6 million DPS, but it's a ton of fun. It's really quick, and it's the character and skill that I wanted to use, so that's kind of what I've gone with. Obviously, if you feel that you like the look of the build, feel free to copy it, but I do think I've spent quite a lot for what is probably a mediocre build, but I'm not someone who just wants to play Lightning Strike because it's the hardest hitting skill. I played Lightning Strike for years, league after league after league, and I've done that skill to death. I don't care if it's twice as powerful as Smite. I just prefer playing Smite. So we'll run through the character, the skill gems, and then I'll run through my passive tree. I was going to say skill tree, passive tree, and cluster jewels. And then what I'll do once I've really finished the character, if I can find more ways to invest money that actually feels like it's worth it, then I'll bring a second video out. So the character originally was precise technique. Now I've gone on to crit, so I'm running some dual full swords. I wanted to dual wield just because I like the look of it. I think if you wanted a more rounded character, you would definitely run with a shield. You can get more life, more space to get resistances. You get ailment immunity, suppression. There's tons of cool things you can get in shields in abundance. But I just wanted to play a dual wield character. And it's running 2 swords that are basically double elemental damage, attack speed, and crit chance. The swords, because they're not really weapons that are used anymore, they're kind of swan song days are long ago, so not many people run dual full. So I picked both the fractured bases up, I think, for divine combined, and then I'll just use some essences until I hit something I like, and then crafted the item that was missing. But I basically wanted double damage with elementals, crit chance, and attack speed. Running a Haunted Bassinet for armor and evasion because we're going to be stacking grace and determination as much as we can. Mana cost of attacks to make sure that I don't need a load of mana to run my skills, and then some fizz taken as fire, and then just life and resistances. The gloves are pretty bad. I've had these for a while. These could definitely be better. They're just life, attack speed, resistances, and then key part of this is the strike 1 additional nearby enemy because Smite can double hit just like Lightning Strike. The boots, I've ailment avoidance on here because we'll go through the combination of things that make up my 100% in a moment. These again are not the best boots. They're movement speed, life, some resistances, and the tiniest bit of spell suppression. you can probably hear, because I think this mic is going to pick her up, I've shut my cat out. She's not happy, so I better make this video quick. A gate amulet, loads of life, fractured. Again, I don't think this amulet was loads. It was definitely less than the divine. And then I've used intelligence essences because I was short, and I was looking to either hit crit multi, crit chance, or some sort of big damage. This is kind of the end result. At the moment, got high voltage anointed because I do have quite low crit chance. Once I get my crit sorted out elsewhere, it will probably be endurance charge on kill and minimum endurance charge, just so I can get the character a little bit more tanky. And then the rings, I've just, again, damage, life, resistances is what I want to get out of my rings. So that's what we've gone for. And then the unique belt is perseverance, which, because we're using determination and grace, and we get a very high level determination, we get pretty decent damage increase when wearing this belt. We also get onslaught when we fortify, and we're running a fortified gem in our links. So it just makes the character feel really, really quick and smooth. Flasks are like my standard attack flask setups. I do need to reroll this crit flask. It's super, super low, but I was low on alterations at the time. So it's diamond flask with crit chance, granite flask with armor, jade flask with evasion, and then a quicksilver flask with movement speed. Because the Ascendancy gives us 40% increase effect of utility flasks, you want to get your flask as good as you possibly can, which is why I definitely need to reroll this crit one. In terms of the tree, I'm not going to go through the tree because it's kind of the same tree I'll do for my Smite characters, which is a right-sided suppression-based tree where we're just going up, picking life, damage, reservation, mana cost, the usual stuff it will be in the POB. I'm running 2 cluster jewels. The first, which cost me 2 divines, and it was the only one available, and I specifically wanted this one and waited for it, which is Sadist and Storm Rider. So Sadist gives me basically 60% increased daily damage because we're running our triple auras. We're going to be chilling, igniting, and shocking. And then Storm Rider gives us power charges because we have chill and shock on enemies. We're going to get power charges. And then my second one, I don't know if this is any good. I've gone for Insatiable Killer, which is increased damage and attack speed while dual wielding. And then Martial Prowess, which is a really massive node. It's damage, attack speed, and global accuracy. We have a Lethal Pride that I managed to snag for Divine that's got double damage and rage on hit. And then we've just got Ancestral Vision, which was 2 divines, which caps my ailment immunity. And then just various attack speed and life jewels, where I've managed to path through some jewel sockets. And that's kind of it for the jewel setup. I wouldn't normally have this level of spend on a character this early in a league, but because it's a 1-month event, I had loads of currency sitting around. There was no point just chugging through on a character that I knew could be 3 times better with a little bit of investment. But as I said, a POB with the items, skill links, tree, everything will be in the video description. In terms of links, I've gone for Smite, obviously the Val version, because the Val version is what you see when I explode an entire screen. That's the Val skill. Doesn't do much for single target. It gives you a little bit of a damage buff. It's really there for clear. It can absolutely obliterate a screen full of monsters. So I've got elite damage with attacks. Fortify, because there isn't really an easy way to get Fortify into the build, because you can't rely on chance, because Smite, most of your kills and hits are done by the AoE, and that won't trigger the chance to Fortify. We've got Multi-Strike, and we've got Volatility, and then Trinity Support. We have a Molten Shell linked to cast on damage taken, just for a little bit of defensiveness. Blood Rage for frenzy charges when mapping, and then also some attack speed. We've got Grace as an aura. We get Determination from our Ascendancy. And then we're also running a Precision, which I believe is in here. Yep, level 17. I can probably push this up, but my mana is quite tight at 102. So it's going to give me a tiny bit of crit chance if I push that up. I've got a Flame Dash for Grasping Vines because Leap Slam won't work. And then our other movement skill is Leap Slam, faster attacks and momentum. And then we have a Assassin's Mark on hit to get more crit chance and crit multi. And that's kind of it for the gem links. I think that's probably the best 6-link setup, but I don't know. There's quite a few situational gems depending on how the build's going that I could use. So I did use Inspiration for a while because my mana was out of control. So instead of LE damage with attacks, I ran Inspiration. It's less damage, but it just made the build feel a lot more comfortable when mapping. People often ask about MTX, so I'll go through what I've got on the character. I've got the Drogon God hat, which I think was a league-specific one, so I don't think it's available anymore. We've got Molten Nagahamu body armor, Elder Darkseer gloves, and Elder Darkseer boots. We've got a Violet Flare character effect, Annihilator weapon effect, and then the Annihilator weapon. And then Smite is also a cosmetic. I'm not sure I actually like it more than the normal one, but we're using the Valkyrie Smite effect. The normal one looks like this. I do find this one's easier to tell when you double hit, and I found the Valkyrie one's a bit too large and too much of a screen clutter that it's sometimes hard to tell whether you're double hitting or not. But I've got the MTX, so might as well use it if you paid for it. And that's kind of it for the character. It's got to level 95. There's been bits that were struggle and bits that weren't. I haven't played this game for a while. I 6-portaled Maven when I would say all the deaths were easily avoidable. I died in some horrible corrupted maps. But overall, I think it's felt comfortable enough. It just didn't quite do the damage I was expecting from the 3 auras. I thought I'd be doing more damage, and I thought the auras would carry a bit harder than they are. But overall, I've really enjoyed the build. Enjoyed the character. I'm definitely going to play it for a bit longer. Farm some more currency, and then if I get bored of it, then maybe try and do Ascendancy, another skill. Again, it's probably going to be something that isn't super meta because those builds have already been discovered, and to me, some of them aren't particularly fun to play. I don't care if my build only just gets to T60 maps as long as I enjoy the build when I'm playing it. That's it for the video. It's really just to show how I farmed my currency and what my character looks like in its current state. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.